Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate. It is another edition of the 9th Age. This is Battle Report number 15. This is a 5,000 point battle between myself, my House Lainel, the Silvery Host of Caledor, with my Highborn Elves army, versus my buddy O'Death, the Esoteric Order, the Thousand Sons of the Warriors of the Dark Gods. So let's see what happens when 5,000 points of High Elves go up against 5,000 points of Warriors of the Dark Gods of Change. And let's see what kind of chaos ensues from that part. Alright, let's go and talk about House Lainel, the Silvery Host of Caledor. It is my 5,000 point Highborn Elves army. For my characters, I have Caradrian Lainel, the Anointed One. He is a commander who is also my general. He has the High Warden of Flame honor, as well as Dragonforge armor and shield, and he's packing the Spear of Blazing Dawn. Next comes Titos Lainel, the Lord Masters of Hoeth. He is a commander as well. He's got the Master of Canray Tower honor. He's equipped with Dragonforge armor, shield, as well as a great weapon, and he's also got the Book of Melodies. He's also using the Path of Druidism for this round. He has the Oaken Throne, the Master of Earth, and 20 Roots, Stone Skin, as well as Summer Growth spells. And my last character choice is Captain Tanis Lainel, the Dawn Patrol. He is a commander with the Battle Center Bear. He's also got the Officer of the Fleet honor. He's carrying a heavy armor, shield, halberd, and longbow, and he's also equipped with this Cloak of Stars to make sure that his unit doesn't suffer magic that badly. For my core choices, we have the Silverhelm Knights, which are 10 Highborn Lancers of full command, and the Lothern Sea Guards, which are 23 Sea Guards of full command, and the Illyrian Reavers, which are 5 Eline Reavers with bows. For my special choices, I have the Warden of Tiranoc, which is a Reaver Chariot. So that's right, I decided to add a chariot to my army. I decided to take out the ambusher rules on my Lothern Sea Guards, as well as my Officer of the Fleet, and the reason why is because, you know, it's kind of useful, but I decided I could use the points elsewhere, and for the points that I saved, I gave myself a Reaver Chariot to help out my cavalrymen. Next, we have the Phoenix Guard, which are 23 Flame Wardens of full command, the Sword Masters of Hoeth, which are 19 Sword Masters of full command, and a Banner of Becalming, just because we have that additional +2 for Dispel, and that's always a good thing. And then we have the White Lions of Trace, which are 15 Wyann Guard with a Flaming Standard. And for my Peacekeepers, we have the Reigns of Caledor, which are 3 Seaguard Reapers, and that will make up my army for this one. Alright, let's talk about my buddy O'Death's Esoteric Order of the Thousand Sons. It is a 5,000 point Warriors of Dark Gods army. Most of it is dedicated to the Mark of to the Lord of Change, which is actually kind of cool. For his characters, he has Skrakalikos, the Schemer. He is a Demon Prince with a Mark of Change. He's got Demonic Wings, as well as a third Eye of Change. He's also packing the Sword of Strength, Hardened Shield, and Lucky Charm, and he is the general for my opponent's army. Next, we have Ingram Van Horseman, the Illuminator. He is a Sorcerer with the Mark of Change. He is also packing Ogre Sword, Lucky Shield, Talisman of Supreme Shield. He's also carrying 4 spells on this one as well. He's also riding Baldrus, which is a Wasteland Dragon, and he's taking the path of Alchemy for his magic. He's got the Quicksilver Lash, Silver Spike, Transmutation of Lead, as well as Glory of Gold for his spells. And his last character is Ackhold Hellbrash, Champion of Sneech. He is a Harbinger who's a Battle Center Bearer with a Market Change. He's packing a great weapon. He's also carrying the Dueler's Shield, as well as a 9-Tail Standard. For his core choices, he has the Storm Lords, which are 19 Wasteland Warriors of full command, Market Change, and Halberds, as well as the Banner Speed, and the Changelings, which are 20 Barbarians of full command, Marks of Change. They're also equipped with great weapons as well as throwing weapons, so that's a pretty deadly unit right there. For his special choices, he has the Second Sons, which are 10 Wasteland Knights with Marks of Change, also have full command. They're packing Demon weapons as well as a Stalker Standard. And then lastly, he has the Gestalt of Power, which is a Mauler Chariot with a Mark of Change. So that will make up O'Death's army for this one at 5,000 points. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about deployment now. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x6 table. We got a lot of forests, as well as standing stones, as well as some ruins spread throughout the battlefield. And for my deployment, I got to deploy first because I rolled off pretty well on the D6. As you can see in this photo, I kind of went with a denied flank type of deployment. I decided to line up my army directly from the left-hand side, working all the way to the right-hand side as well. So that way my left flank is kind of secure, so that the only way that my opponent can come at me is either from the front or from the right-hand flank. And as you can see, I kind of laid out my main battle line here on the left-hand side. I got all my infantry units there located there. All my cavalry assets are located on the right hand side. Pretty much my plan here is to have my enemy draw forward with his main fighting units towards my main battle line, and then hopefully kind of sweep to the right flank with my cavalry and try to take him out that way for the 1-2 punch combo. But that's pretty much what my plan is on this one. As you can see there in the back there, I also got my artillery to give me support. So with and you can see my opponent, he kind of matched my deployment area as well. He's got his forces lined up in the same kind of fashion, so that way he can come at me and try to deal with me on that part. So with that, let's go into the individual deployment areas and talk about the close-ups on this one. Alright, so let's go and talk about my left-hand flank deployment. Start from the left and working all the way to the right-hand side where I have my White Lions of Trace. Those are my 15 Lion Guards. I also got the Sword Masters of Hoeth, which are my 19 Sword Masters. My my spellcaster, House Lainel, who has also got the massive Camry Towers pack in this Path of Druidism, he is located in that unit as well. That huge unit that's in a line formation, that is my Sea Guard formation, that's the Lothorn Sea Guard. Those are my 23 Sea Guards with my Battle Center Bearer, House Lainel. He's also located there, kind of holding up the center as well. I got them in this line formation, that way they can open fire. And the nice thing about this unit is that if they get charged, they can automatically do a quick combat reform in order to full up into column formation, so that kind of helps you on that part as well. And then of course on the far right hand side there, I got my Phoenix Guard, which are my 23 Flame Wardens. I also have my General Caradrian the Anointed. He's also located there with his Spear Blazing Dawn, and that unit is just a solid, just a tough unit with their 5-up armor save as well as a 4 ward save. That's a pretty solid choice right there. Also in the back, you can see I got my 3 Sea Guard Reapers. Those are my Storms of Caledor, my Rains of Caledor, and the idea is that they're just going to lay down suppressive fire to anything that comes marching towards them and just kind of deal with everything in close combat. So that makes up my left-hand deployment on this battle report. And here's my forces along the center portion, as well as my very far right flank. So right there on the left-hand side, I have my 10 Silver Knights. Those are my 10 Highborn Lancers. They're kind of located there as well. And as you can see, I also vanguard up both my Reaver Chariot, which is the Warden of Tiranoc, as well as my 5 Illyrian Reavers, which are part of those 5 Aligned Reavers as well. I kind of vanguard them up 12 inches. My idea here is because my opponent has decided to deploy his cavalry on the right-hand side as well. So my goal here is to try to destroy his cavalry as quickly as possible, sweep through them as fast as possible, and then that way I can start engaging his main battle line and sweeping from the right to the left on that flank charges, so that way I can get my enemy enveloped and kind of destroy it that way as well. So as you can see there, I got my Reaver of Tiranoc, my Reaver Chariot, as well as my Reaver Knights kind of located up there in the front. I got my Silver Helms located in the back. And I'm pretty confident, but you know, I am going against Wasteland Knights as well as a Mauler Chariot, so I'm not sure how successful my guys will do against them, but at the same time though, I need to secure my flank because otherwise those cavalry guys will just play Merry Hob with my entire main line. So that makes up my deployment here for the center lines as well as for the right flank. Alright, here is the close-up for the Warriors, the Dark Gods. This is their left flank, and making up his left flank, he's got 2 monsters. On the left-hand side there, he has Egrin Van Horseman on Baladros. That is his Chaos Sorcerer, his level 4 Sorcerer, on top of a Wasteland Dragon, so that thing is massively huge. He's got a lot of power going on for that one. A lot of good spells with the Path of Alchemy. Got a combat kitted out for this Wizard Lord because everyone knows that with Sorcerers and a Warriors Dark Gods army can also fight as well, so that's pretty dangerous, you know, to put on top of that, and he's got his Wasteland Dragon there as well. That's a very terrifying unit. I gotta think of some really interesting ways to kind of deal with that one as well. On the right hand side there, that 2-headed dragon model, that is his demon Skralikost, who is the Demon of Change, and I have to deal with that guy as well. He's a kid out for a combat lord type build, and so these 2 monsters are very, very deadly, and I have to concentrate most of my fire on that part as well. So that makes up the left hand deployment for my opponent Odeth's army for this one. And here is deployment for the center lines for the Warriors of the Dark Gods. Odeth decided to put his Stormlords as well as his Battle Center Bearer. That's the character that's in the front rank on the left-hand side. That is Ackhold Hellbrass, the champion of Sneech. And he's also got the banner movement on those guys, as well as the Nine-Tailed Standard. So those guys are moving up 6 inches every single time they move up as well. And those guys to the right-hand side, those are the Changeling. Those are his 20 Barbarians armed with great weapons and throwing weapons. And those guys get the movement 5 on this one as well. So they're almost as fast as my Highborn Elves, which is kind of deadly as well. So he has those guys kind of anchored up the center, lined up across the solid line from my army as well. These guys are very hard hitting. Granted, he only has 2 units, but the 2 units that he does have for his infantry, they are hard hitting. Those guys have marks of change on them, so they also deliver D3 additional flaming attacks with their Hellfire ability, or they can use divine attacks to destroy my ward saves, or magical attacks, which aren't really going to be much of an issue for me too much because I don't have any ethereal things in my army. But at the same time, though, these units are definitely not to be underestimated. They are deadly at close combat, and basically my goal is to kind of shoot these guys down before they close up my main lines, so that way they become less of a threat as time goes on. So that makes up the center deployment for my army, for my opponent's army on this one. And finally, we have Odeth's right-hand flank. As you can see in this picture, he deployed his cavalry assets right here in the right-hand flank. Because, let's face it, the best thing that cavalry does best is flanking, and that's exactly what he's going to do with his army as well. He's kind of matching up my units with his own. As you see on the left-hand side, he's got the Gestalt of Power. That is his Mauler Chariot, and that thing is absolutely terrifying. They get grindy attacks, as well as impact hits, as well as the attack from the Mauler creature, and the 2 warriors riding the chariot as well. So that is a very deadly unit. I'm going to try to figure out some way to kind of take that unit out as quickly as possible. And just to make matters worse, he has 10 Chaos Way. He has got 10 Wasteland Knights on the right hand side. Those are his second sons. Those guys are also packing marks of change, and they have demonic weapons as well, so that gives them a 5 of strength no matter what the situation is as well. those guys are going to be very, very tough to defeat because they also have fear as well, which means that if they hit one of my guys and cause enough damage, I get a -1 to my leadership. I'm going to have guys fleeing all over the place. So I'm kind of terrified of this right-hand flank. He's got a pretty strong right-hand flank, but at the same time, so do I. So it's going to be kind of interesting. You got infantry fighting on the left-hand flank, and you're going to have cavalry fighting on the right-hand flank. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this battle report plays out. So with that being said, let's go down to the beginning of turn number 1 on this battle report. And that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Warriors of the Dark Gods. This is after they actually won the movement phase on this part. They also won the initiative. So this is after movement phase. As you can see in this picture, pretty much all O'Death does that he marches up his army as quick as he can to my main lines. Starting from the left and all the way to the right hand side, as you see, he just kind of flies up his general as well as his wizard, his sorcerer on a wasteland dragon. Those guys kind of move up conservatively. They only move up their normal movement range with flying. They stay behind the tree as well as the ruins there right there in the center. And that kind of makes sense as well because he's trying to take cover behind obstacles. That way I don't shoot his guy to pieces on that part. And so that's why he's kind of taking cover there as well. He does march up both his changelings as well as his wasteland warriors. They get there to that gap this between that first standing stone to the right hand side, the center of the board, as well as that forest on the left hand side. He's got his forces lined there to kind of take care of things, and he also moves up his cavalry units. He doesn't march them, he just kind of moves up their normal movement allowance to place between the space between the standing stone in the center of the board as well as the ruins there on the far right hand side of the board, kind of setting himself with some charges for the next round. So that pretty much makes up his movement on this turn. Here's a close-up of his main battle lines of his infantry units, as well as his monster, as well as his demon prince, kind of moving up towards my men center lines as well. It makes kind of sense he's keeping these guys behind cover as much as possible, so that way they don't get shot at by my Sea Guard Reapers. So I can see why he's doing that as well. And as you see on the right-hand side there, he's kind of lined up his infantry to get them set up for a charge on his next turn. And here's a close-up of his cavalry units as well. As you can see, he's got his Mauler chariot, the Gestalt of Power, as well as his second sons, kind of located in such a way that they could charge at either my Reaver Knights, or they could charge at my, my chariot, my Warden of Tirnoch, or also my Silverhelm Knights as well. So he's kind of like laid up in that kind of situation to get himself for some successful charges in the next round. During the magic phase, I effectively shut down his magic phase because I had the Book of the Banner of Becalming, as well as the Book of Melodies helping out my general, so not really much happened in the magic phase. Since these guys don't have any shooting because they're the Warriors of the Dark Gods army, we skip combat because there's no close combat, so because of that, pretty much ends their turn on this one. So all they really did was just move up as quick as they possibly could. That takes us to the bottom of turn number 1 after movement for the Highborn Elves. You can see in this photo, not much movement happens along my main center line of troops, my main infantry units. I decided to stay exactly where I'm at. I have no reason to go up to him because I want him to kind of lure himself into my main battle line so that way I can kind of get him in a double development. However, in the right-hand flank, as you can see there, all of my cavalry assets charge. They make their charges, and they land directly to my opponent, try to take him out that way as well. Basically, the idea is that I want to lure his main fighting units into the center portions of the main lines, attack my main line of soldiers, and my cavalry on the right-hand side, my hope is to drive off the cavalry on his right flanks. That way they can kind of come around and hit him from either the flank or from the rear and get him in a double envelopment. And that's pretty much the idea I try to go for with my main attack on this part. So that makes it movement on this side of the board. Here's a close-up of the action that's taking place on the right-hand side. As you can see, I charge my Silverhelm Knights directly to the front of his Mauler chariot to kind of deal with the Gestalt of Power on that part. So I'm hoping that my 8 strength 5 hits with the charging on the lance will be able to drive off this guy and kind of defeat him that way and beat him with combat res as well. And as you can see with the second sons, I charge forth my Warden of Tirnoch. I'm hoping my impact hits as well as original hits as well as the charging and combat res that I get off of my chariot charging to his second sons, as well as the flank attacks from my Illyrian Reavers will be enough to drive these guys off as well, so that way his right hand flank isn't totally exposed and I can go after his forces as well. So that makes it moving here on the right hand side. During the magic phase, I try to get off my Oaken Throne spell in order to boost up all my spells, where my opponent spent most of his miscast dice kind of getting rid of that one. However, so because of that, I was able to only get off 2 spells really. First of all, I got Flesh to Stone spell off onto my unit of Swordmass Hoeth. Those guys are going to start dealing with some +2 toughness as well because of all the units that's coming my way. I'm kind of thinking that unit it could benefit the most from Stone Skin because I'm thinking that either the dragon or that demon prince is going to fly around to there after my wizard. Giving a +2 toughness will really help out to kind of survive combat at that part. So that's what takes place here for the magic phase in this side of the board. And to help out my Silverhelm Knights a little bit in close combat, I also get off Master of the Earth spell, and I put it directly onto that Gestalt of Power spell, using that Standing Stone as the impossible terrain for that part. I managed to get 5 hits on this guy, but I only managed to wound him once because a Mauler chariot has toughness 5, so those things are really hard to destroy, so that pretty much makes up all of the effect on that part. So with magic out of the way, we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, I try to open up all three of my bolt throwers onto that Egrin Van Horseman and Baladros, which is that monster on the left-hand flank. Unfortunately for me, two of my bolt throwers missed because they had to go through the ruins or they had to go through the forest. They get the -1 to hit on that part, so they both kind of fell on that one. However, one of my Reigns of Caledor managed to hit him and inflicted 2 wounds on him as well. So that's 2 wounds down for this guy. Oh, I should also talk about the house rule that I said I put on this one as well, since we're on this page. Last battle report, the 9th age, I talked about some of the problems I had with some of the monster rules that they did with the freeze. So my buddies and I and my gaming group, we decided to change some of that, and then we decided to kind of like do a little special thing when it comes to that in terms of like how to do wounds and things of that nature. We kind of took our inspiration a little bit from Warhammer Age of Sigmar on this part, so we're going to talk about some of the things we decided to do for house rules when it comes to monsters, or characters running monsters anyway. First of all, the very first thing we decided to do is combine the wounds on both models. So you take Bodros, which has 6 wounds, you also take the Chaos Lord, which has 3 wounds on top of him, the Sorcerer, for a total of 9 wounds for this entire model part as well. You also use the highest toughness when it comes to wounding this guy, both in close combat as well as shooting, and the reason why we do that is because we figure the monster is so big that most of your blows are probably going to go against the monster, not so much against the Lord. Plus this thing is moving around when it's in close combat and things like that. You're probably going to hit the monster before you hit the Lord on that part as well. So we use the highest toughness amongst all parts to do that. Same thing with the armor save. We use the best armor save amongst all parts in order to do this, which is going to be kind of hard for me because my opponent has a 4 ward save on this creature as well, so that means every single time I target this guy I have to use a dragon's toughness as well as a 4 ward to go because of that part as well. But you know what, that's just the way we're going to have to roll with it, and we decided to agree with this part, so I have no problem with it. Plus, you know, challenge is always a good thing as well, and as you can see in this battle report later on, it kind of shows you like the value of having these kind of rules that we made as well. And when it comes to the attacks, we decided the attacks are separate between the parts. Like the sorcerer on the top of the dragon will fight his own attacks and go with his own weapon skill and his own abilities, and the dragon will also do the same as well. So they can still target the same opponents and everything else like that and still include those parts, but we decided to use that for our little house rules when it comes to the monsters. Tell us what you think about these house rule changes that we made. If you think they're good, if you think they're bad, you know, what's your guys' opinion on this? Granted, we know we can't use these kind of rules if we decide to play in tournaments or against people who don't want to use these rules at all, but for our house rules and just for our individual just gaming group, we thought this would be kind of a cool way to kind of solve this monster writing problem for all the characters. So yeah, feel free to comment as you like on this part. You know, we're open for debate on this part. We kind of need to see what everyone's viewpoints on this are. Also, during the shooting phase, I took aim with my Lothar Seaguard. We decided to shoot at that unit of changelings because those guys would be the easiest one to wound, especially since my guys are using regular bows on that part. We managed to kill off 6 of those guys with the combined fire that came from my entire Seaguard unit, so that part was kind of nice as well. That unit was forced to take a break check as a result, but because we near the Battle Center Bear, they got to reroll their field's leadership test, and they managed to stick it out for this part, so that part was kind of sad. Now, with shooting out of the way, we go directly to close combat. And close combat did not go as I at all expect on this part. It came to a screeching halt, actually, when it came to this close combat phase. My plan was to use all my forces in with all the combined attacks and charges, impact hits, and so on and so forth, able to defeat these units in combat resolution and then chase these units off so that way the right-hand flank of the main battle line for the Warriors of Dark Gods army, for Death's army, would be opened. However, it was kind of like, you ever asked that question, what happens when an immovable force meets an unmovable object? Unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Well, that question has been solved with this picture right here. So let's go and talk about the combat phase on that part. In the end, starting from the left-hand side, my Silver Knights managed to put 3 wounds onto the Mauler chariot, and oddly enough, 2 of those wounds came from my horses. It didn't come from my warriors, my knights at all, which is kind of sad, that part. They also managed to inflict 1 wound onto my Silver Knights on that one. Technically speaking, I won the combat in this part. However, because he's near close to his Battle Center Bear as well, he got this kind of sticking on that part, and that was kind of rough for me going on for that part. Also, you can see here on the right-hand side, I managed to kill 2 Chaos Wasteland Warriors between my Aligned Reavers as well as my Reaver Chariot. They managed to kill 2 of those guys, but in exchange, the Chaos Knights managed to put the Wasteland Knights managed to put 2 wounds onto my Reaver Chariot, my Warden of Tirnoch, as well as kill 2 of my Illyrian Reavers as well, and that part was kind of rough. The only reason why I stuck it out is because I rolled really good on my leadership test for the break test, so they're kind of stuck and bogged down there, which is going to be really rough for me because all of my units at this point are at strength 3 now from this point on when it comes to close combat, because they don't get any strength bonuses from charges, and these guys are minimum of toughness of 4. Well, toughness of 4 from the Knights anyways, toughness of 5 from the Mauler Chariot, and as you guys know, rolling for 5s and 6s are not exactly my strongest point on this part, so it's going to be kind of rough because now I realize that this fight here on the right hand flank is just going to be one boggy mess, and so yeah, that's going to be tough on this part. Alright, that takes us to the top turn number 2 after Moon Phase, the Warriors of Dark Gods. As you can see in this photo, Death tried to charge with all of his units here on the left-hand side of the board. He tried to charge with all of his units, and unfortunately, he just flubbed spectacularly on his rolls. It was pretty rough on that part. I actually felt kind of bad for my buddy because he didn't do so well in this charge in this part. So starting with the left-hand side, Baladros moves up like 4 inches because I think like a 4 was the highest he rolled on his D6, so he failed to make impact as well. Same thing with his Demon Prince Kalikos. I think he rolled like a 3, I think a 4 or 3 on that part. He rolled like a 4 or 3 for his highest roll on that part as well because he failed as well, so he kind of stuck right there on the other side of that ruin. For his other units, he rolled Snake Eyes when it came for the charge of his Stormlords because those guys only move up 1 inch on that part, so that was kind of rough. And then for his changelings as well, I think their highest die roll was like a 3, so they moved like 3 inches on that part. So that was absolutely rough for my opponent. He was trying to charge everything he can going to my main lines. He filled all of his charges, so his guys just kind of stumble forward a little bit, which is kind of good for me because it buys me some extra time to kind of weaken these units down as much as possible before they finally close in with me. I'm probably not going to charge in too much because, you know, it's kind of rough kind of deal with these guys, but at the same time, though, I mean, I don't know, really. You know, it'd be kind of nice to take the charge on this part, but at the same time, I also understand the value of just kind of holding back on that. So, yeah, that's the charges that took place here in turn number 2 on that part. Alright, so because of that, we go directly to the magic phase, and my opponent decides to fire his Quicksilver Lash spell onto my unit of White Lions, and he does manage to get that spell off, but the process of doing that, though, he also managed to miscast on that part as well. He rolled 3 6s on that part.
Latu, Miranda.
And as you can see in this photo, he basically had to take some wounds on that part. He rolled like a 15 was ended up being for his spell, so because they take some hit for the strength 3 attacks they did to himself, so he took some wounds from that as well. He also took some additional wounds because of the miscast table, so now this poor guy is carrying 6 wounds onto his person. As you can see in this photo, this is why we decided to go with the house rules that we did, because if he decided to not go with the house rules, this model would be dead because the Chaos Dragon, the Wasteland Dragon, only has 6 wounds. If we do it with original rules that 9th Age said, this guy would have been dead on this part. However, he has 3 more wounds because he has the lore still riding him. So as you can see that right off the bat, our changes that we made for our house rules is actually working. It also helps because, you know, characters running monsters are expensive in terms of points, so this also kind of helps justify their point costs. It just ended up being a good thing entirely. However, unfortunately for my opponent, even though he took all those wounds, he only managed to kill one of my White Lions in the process on that part. He just flubbed his rolls for his strikes. He flubbed his rolls for his wounds as well. Only killed one guy, and he lost 4 wounds in the process of doing that as well. So that part was absolutely brutal for the magic phase. And so yeah, that pretty much makes it on this one. And in the close combat phase, oh my god, that close combat phase here on the right hand side was absolutely brutal. As you can see in this photo, starting from the left and working our way rightwards, we did not manage to put a single wound onto that Mauler chariot. However, that Mauler chariot's grinding attacks, as well as his normal attacks from the Mauler that's located to the chariot, he managed to kill 4 of my Silverhelm Knights on that part as well. We didn't manage to inflict a single wound on that guy. Those Silverhelms had to break. Luckily for me, with my Swift Stride ability, I managed to get away from 12 inches, and he rolled an 11, so I barely got away from that chariot. He's like 1 inch right behind my main lines, and that part is actually kind of scary on that. So that was absolutely terrifying with that close combat. And also you can see on the right hand side, my Warden of Tyrannok, that chariot just got destroyed and been broken down to splinters from the Wasteland Warriors, Wasteland Knights, and they also managed to kill 2 more of my Lean Reavers, causing my 1 lone Lean Reaver to automatically break, and he fled and decided to take off. As you can see in this photo as well, my opponent decided not to pursue on that part, just to let that guy go because that guy can't rally really unless you will Snake Eyes, and it's just an absolute disaster that took place here on the right hand flank. Those demon weapons on those Knights, that is legit. The strength 5 all the time is just absolutely horrifying on that part to take on. So that takes up combat phase here on the right hand side of the board. And that takes us directly to the bottom of turn number 2 after the movement phase. As you see in this photo, I decided to go for Broca and just to charge and just to like engage these guys when they get a chance to charge me on this part, because I realized I'm not going to get a better chance than this or to put some hurt on these guys. So starting from the left hand side, working our way to the right, as you can see I have my White Lions of Trace. I charged directly into that unit of the Chaos Sorcerer on top of Baladros. I decided to take on that guy. He's only got 3 wounds left on top of him, plus my guys do 2 up wounds on monsters, so I'm having a good kind of feeling on this one that I'll be able to chop that guy down and kind of take him down on that part. part. On the center portion there, as you can see, I charge in my Sword Masters of Hoeth with my Master of Camelry Tag, my Lore Master. I charge directly to the Skrullycost, the Demon, in order to take him on in close combat as well. For my Sea Guards, what I did is I decided to do a swift reform of those guys using the Musician in order to do that. I put these guys in column formation. I also move up 5 inches as well. And the reason why I did that is to kind of protect the right hand flank of that unit of Sword Masters, so that way they can't be charged at by the Storm Lords there on the to the right hand flank for my Sword Masters, and at the same time defend the left hand flank of my Phoenix Guard from those Storm Lords as well, so that way their flank is protected. So the only way that the Storm Lords can kind of do anything now is to charge directly at my Sea Guard on that part. And as you see on the right hand side there, I also got my Phoenix Guard. They charge directly to the Changelings, and that combat's going to go pretty easily because Phoenix Guard don't have to fear Chaos Barbarians on that part as far as they're concerned. Also, if you look on the right hand side of the board, I managed to reform my, re-rally up my Silver Helm, so they kind of turn around and kind of face down the Gestalt of Power. And unfortunately for my Illyrian Reaver, that lone guy, he just kind of fled off the board, and he is now down and out for the count. Here's a close-up of my White Lines of Trace, ready to take on the Sorcerer Egrin Van Horseman on top of Baldros, and I'm feeling pretty good about that combat. Yeah, that monster could do some pretty serious stuff. At the same time, I got the initiative, so I'm hoping I can probably kill that guy in the first round, and that's pretty much what I'm going for on this one. And here's a close-up of my Sword Master of Hoeth taking on Skrullycost. I'm hoping that the amount of wounds I was able to put down with these Sword Masters, as well as combat res, will be enough to kill this Demon Prince. He does suffer from demonic instability, so because of that, I might be able to destroy him with some combat res and take off some wounds in that way as well. Over here on the right-hand side in the center, you can see that I have my Sea Guard. My Lothran Sea Guard are kind of moved up to protect the flanks of both my Sword Masters of Hoeth, as well as my Phoenix Guard, and kind of take on the Storm Lords on at the same time as well. And on the right-hand side, you have my Phoenix Guard. Those guys charge directly into those units of Barbarians. That combat's going to go pretty easy, and you'll be able to take out those guys pretty quickly. And here's a close of my Silverhelm Knights rallying and trying to take on, turning to face the Gestalt of Power. And I'm kind of hoping that one or two things will either happen. Either one, in the magic phase, I'll be able to heal up some of those guys using the Summer Regrowth spell to get some of those guys back into that unit, so that way they have a little bit stronger guys when they come with that attack in that chariot. And hopefully I might be able to hold out long enough to be able to destroy this chariot and or take on those Chaos Knights or secure my right hand flank as well. That's pretty much what I'm going for on this part, because not much is happening for me here on this right hand flank. And as you can see in this picture, my one Illyrian Reaver that I had left on the board just kind of fled off the board as well, and he's never coming back because all of his friends are dead and he doesn't want to die too. So with that being said, we go directly to the magic phase. In the magic phase, I managed to get off Oaken Throne off onto my Lore Master, so I also got the bonuses when it comes to that. I also managed to cast that spell, Scone Skin, as well, onto my unit of White Lines of Trace, because those guys are going to need the additional buffs against that dragon when that thing starts attacking as well. So because I also got the Oaken Throne off, that means that that Stone Skin spell gives my +3 toughness to my White Lines, which is kind of cool, because now those White Lines are now toughness 6, which is really going to help me out against that dragon, because that dragon is very, very powerful, and not going to help him last on that part as well. So that's what took place here during the magic phase on this side of the board. And I also managed to get off the Summer Growth spell. I got the boosted version because I had the Oaken Throne that part. I managed to bring up 7 wounds onto that unit of cavalrymen, which means that that unit of Silverhelms is now back up to full strength on that part, which must have been really frustrating for Odeth, because he worked really hard trying to kill off those Silverhelm Knights, and now they're back, which is just freaking awesome in my opinion. So yeah, they had a pretty powerful magic phase on that part. My opponent was really able to stop me, and so that was really cool with that. So with magic phase over, we go directly into the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, I open up my Sea Guard against that unit of Stormlords as well. Managed to kill off, I think, 2 more of those guys. So now they're down to a quarter, down to 3/4 of their strength. They lost about a quarter of their guys. They had to take a panic check on that one, but they managed to survive that one because they're within range of their general. Plus, they had the rerolls for their Battle Singer Bear as well. But you know, it's just kind of neat taking some pot shots on those guys. I was rolling on 6s to hit because I had to move, and then I was also moving forward as well. So I had to take a 6 up to order to hit those guys. Only 2 of them managed to make it through with the wounds that came down to it, and it was unable to save on that part. So that makes up shooting on this side of the board. And then we opened up with my Reigns of Caledor onto that Gestalt of Power. I opened up with 3 by both doors using solid shots on that part for the singular shot on that. One of them missed, but the other 2 managed to hit and managed to kill that thing with no problem whatsoever. So now it's just my Silverhelm Knights against that Chaos Knights units, and now hopefully I can kind of bog down those Knights from getting into my main battle lines with my Silverhelms, and that's what I'm just pretty much going for on this part. So with that being said, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, it ended up being a wholesale slaughter for my opponent on this part. For the most part, when it came down to combat between my light lines, a Trace, as well as Egret Van Horseman and Baldros, I only managed to put 2 more additional wounds on that guy, so that guy is only down, only has 1 wound left on that monster now. Just the amount of ward saves he's making blocked most of my attacks in that part, which once again is showing you the importance of why we made the house rule change that we made for the monsters. It makes them a lot more survivable, and it just makes it for a better game as far as we're concerned anyways. However, even with the 3-up toughness I had on my white lines, with his breath attacks, as well as his stomp, as well as the attacks with the ogre sword, they managed to kill 5 of my white lines on this part as well. Technically speaking, we beat him in this combat phase with combat res alone, but he wasn't going to go anywhere. He kind of stuck it out. He just is in the location he's at. So now about has only 1 more wound left, and hopefully next combat phase I'll be able to take this guy out and destroy him. The combat, however, between my Sword Masters of Hoth as well as Scrawlycos the Demon Prince was actually pretty epic. Yes, the Demon Prince managed to kill 5 of my Sword Masters of Hoth. That part was kind of sad. However, we managed to put down 3 wounds on that guy, and because with 3 wounds, with combined with our charges as well as our Battle Center Bearer, and for I think the wounds that we put on this guy, we beat him by 2 is what it was. And since he has to worry about demonic instability, the 2 that we took off on him, we basically went to his wounds. He tried to ward save him. He flooded his ward saves on that part, so and he also tried to do his armor saves. He failed on both of those, and basically that guy just kind of vaporized. As you can see in that photo, I just kind of combat reformed my Sword Masters of Hoth to kind of get ready to deal with the Stormlord and charge the flank as well. And as you can see on the right hand side, that combat between my Phoenix Guard as well as that unit of Barbarians, that was just easy for me. I just wiped out that unit in the first run or combat. Didn't lose any single one of my Phoenix Guard. I test to restrain from overrunning. They passed the leadership test, and I also combat reformed them to kind of get in the way. So that way, when that unit of Stormlords comes at us, the guy has to deal with 1 of 3 units, and they'll be able to flank him if he decides to do combat as well. So yeah, that pretty much makes it the combat phase on this one. Alright, so that takes us to the top of turn number 3 after the movement phase for the Wars of the Dark Gods. As you can see in this photo, he just basically goes for broke and just starts charging things. With his Stormlords, he decides to charge directly into my Sea Guard, and that's actually a pretty smart choice in my opinion, because the Warriors of the Dark Gods, especially Wasteland Warriors, are deadly no matter what situation they're in as well. They're very, very a deadly unit. And just like in a real life situation, if you're outnumbered and you gotta fight a bunch of guys and you're outnumbered, you're gonna go for the weakest guy first and hopefully be able to take that person out and then kind of break through. So it kind of makes sense what my opponent's trying to do here. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to attack my Sea Guard, hopefully cause enough damage where these guys break. My Sea Guard have to break. He pursues. He gets out of the flanking charges of those other 2 units as well, and kind of break through and do it that way. So that kind of makes sense why he's kind of like in the area that he's in as well. If you also see in the right hand flank as well, he's also charged his Wasteland Knights into my Silverhelm Knights, and I'm kind of worried about that now because my guys are strength 3, he's strength 5, and it's just a matter of time before he wipes out my Silverhelms. Here's a close-up of his Wasteland Warriors, the Stormlords, all 10 of those guys kind of charging forward and kind of dealing with things. As you can see in this photo, I also decided to stand and shoot as a reaction, and because that we managed to plink off another 4 more of those guys in the process, just the amount of fire I was just pumping out with my Sea Guard, so that part was actually kind of cool in that. So there's still those units almost at half strength, but even with only at half strength, Wasteland Warriors, no joke, and they will just curb stomp everything that stands in their path. So that's the movement here on this one. And here's a close-up of his Wasteland Knights charging to my Silverhelms, and that's going to be kind of rough because those guys are carrying demonic weapons and they're really good at close combat, and my Silverhelms are not. My Silverhelms are not, they don't do very well when they're charged against, so yeah, combat's going to pretty much be one set on that part. So with moving out of the way, we go directly to the magic phase, and we move on to the combat phase. Magic phase ended up being a wash for my opponent. We skipped the shooting phase and directly into the combat phase, and unfortunate for my opponent, he didn't do very well at all in the combat phase either. I managed to kill a handful of his Stormlords with my regular Sea Guards. He managed to kill 5 of my guys. However, because I had the Battle Standard Bearer as well as a regular Standard Bearer as well, it just kind of worked out in my favor. He did issue a challenge with his Battle Standard Bearer against my Battle Standard Bearer. In the end, he managed to put 1 wound on my guy. I managed to put 1 wound as his as well. So that part was kind of cool, but when it came down to the individual combat between my mundane troops, he just was flubbing his rolls pretty bad, and I was kind of rolling on the box in that part. So because of that, he lost combat in the end. He was forced to break. We pursued, we overran, and we destroyed that unit with no problem whatsoever. So that part was kind of nice. I forgot to take a photo of it because the combat was really, really fast on the left-hand side, but my white lines of trade just managed to curb stomp Egret Van Horseman before they even got a chance to do a single blow against them due to the initiative steps. So those guys are destroyed as well. So that pretty much makes a combat there on the left-hand side as well as the center portion of the board. As you see in this photo, the combat between my Silverhill Knights as well as these Wasteland Knights was absolutely brutal. He chopped that unit in half with no problem whatsoever. And the only reason why my guys managed to stick it out is because I think we rolled like a 2 or a 3. I think we rolled a 3 is what it was for my break test. And that's the only reason why these Silverhill Knights are still standing what they're at. But it's no biggie now because this one unit of Wasteland Knights is the only thing that's left on the board. And so, yeah, I'm not too worried about it on that part. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much brings us to the end of the game. My opponent, Odeth, just realized the only thing he has left is that unit of Chaos War. Okay, Wasteland Knights. He decides he's going to call it this part and just kind of like bow out with this battle. So you can see there we still have a lot of my Highborn Elves are still left on the table. Not that many are left of the Warriors, the Dark Gods. And so because of that, this game is now officially over, and we're off to the after action report.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the after action report. This is part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the after action report for the 9th Saga battle report number 15. It was fought between myself with my House Lainel, the Silvery Host of Caledor army versus my buddy Odeth of the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Sons of the Warriors, the Dark Gods. So let's go and talk about what ended up happening for this one. It ended up being a victory for yours truly, so let's go and talk about the losses real quick. For my losses, I lost the Ward of Tirnock, which is my Reaver trait, as well as my Lyra Reavers, which are my 5 Align Reavers, so that was kind of sad. However, for Lord Death, he lost Scrawlycos as Schemer, Egrin Van Horseman and the Illuminator, as well as Kalibos, Outcold Hellbrass, the Champion of Sneech, the Stormlords, the Changeling, as well as the Gestalt of Power. And the only reason why I won this battle report, in my humble opinion, is luck. Pure and simple. That's what saved me. And the reason why it saved me is because of a couple of factors. First of all, failed charges. Without a doubt, that's what really allowed me to win this battle. It bought me additional time to weaken his main line of fighters. You know, weaken down his Wasteland Warriors, also weakened his general, his wizard as well, that Egrin Van Horseman the Dragon, so that part really bought me some time to get my defenses ready to go and to weaken him before he engaged in close combat with me, so that way I could win on that part. Just between you and me, when he failed to make those charges with his main fighting forces, that pretty much won me the game as far as I was concerned. Another thing that really helped me out as well was the miscast that his wizard did. He miscast severely on that part. It really weakened Egrin Van Horse and make it easy to defeat him. He had 6 wounds up on him. He only had 3 more left, and when I used my White Lines of Trace, it was enough to just to kind of put the hurt on him and finally finish him off on that part as well. Another thing that really helped me out was the kit that I decided to go with that for my army on this one. The Mocha Melodies as well as the Banner Becalming are incredibly helpful in this one, especially with my Highborn army, and it helped me control the magic phase. And because it helped me control the magic phase, it stopped a lot of his spells from going through, allowed my spells to go through, and it being very extremely important. And magic really helped me on this part as well. And just like as always, this Path of Druidom is very, very powerful because it adds a lot of buffs to your army that a Highborn Elves army doesn't have. Things like low toughness. This spell path can help kind of address that on that part. Another thing that really helped me out as well is getting Simmer Growth on my Silverhelm Knights. It bought me additional time to protect my right hand flank of my army, so that way all I had to do is really deal with what was going on in my front ranks as well. Attacking up the right hand flank of his army kind of helped me out as well because it allowed me to focus on his main units and keep his flankers busy with my regular cavalry units, and that part was really helpful as well. Same thing with deploying a deny flank on the left hand side. That was also kind of important as well. It kept one of my flanks secured, so only that way he could either come at me in the straight or on one of my other right exposed flanks, and that allowed me to kind of like fight him one at a time, pick what fights I wanted to use, not worry about being envelopment, and that only allowed him to come in head on pretty much, which really saved me on that part. Plus, another thing that really helped me out in this battle was a swift reform on my Lothern Sea Guards. It helped me protect the flanks of both my Sword Masters of Hoth as well as my Phoenix Guard, and that kind of worked together in order to take away his army and just kind of have my guys focus on one unit, not worry about their flanks being overthrown, and that really helped me out on that part as well. Plus, I like the idea of using 3 Sea Guard Reapers. They worked extremely well on this one and weakened his army, it weakened his general, it weakened the Gestalt of Power and blew that thing away. So I think I'll just keep using those 3 Sea Guard Reapers in my army as always. I kind of liking the kit out. I like how my points are being allocated. And this is pretty much how I'm thinking about running my Highborn Elves army for the time being. As always, this was a great game, great opponent. I love playing against Odeth, his Chaos army, his Where's the Dark Gods army. It's always a fun time to do so, and I'm always looking forward to the rematch with all my friends, as always. And once again, feel free to check out my Instagram page to keep up to date on my latest news on my channel's hobby, as well as terrain making and painting, as well as some updates to the channel, like what kind of equipment we're planning on using, things of that nature. I'm thinking about doing some videos about the hobby aspect of what I do, showing off some terrain pieces from our battlefield. I've been getting a lot of comments about how we go about making terrain and what we use to make these things, and think about doing some videos just focusing on that as well. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable as always. And just like we said before, feel free to put your 2 cents in when it comes to our changes that we did for characters riding monsters. What you guys think about that? We're liking the debate. We want to see what kind of what you guys think of it as well. So yeah, that pretty much is going to do it for this one. This is a good tie-up for Ninth Age Battle Report number 15. As always, you guys, this alternates every Sunday between this and Age of the Realms, which are our Age of Sigmar battle reports. Tune in for next time every Thursdays for our Warhammer the Golden Age, as well as Tales from the Underhive. Stay in touch, you guys. You guys are awesome. Keep on rocking, you guys, and happy wargaming.